Hey guys, what's up?
I'm Trevor.
Behind the camera there, and I'm Shawn.
And together we're Vaper Shawn.
Exactly. Now, the reason Trevor's behind the camera is just that right now with the setup it's a little difficult to fit two of us in the frame. And whereas Trevor is more the tech guy, this is more where my area is. What I'm doing is I'm actually using the materials we just got delivered from Vape City to make a rather large batch of juice. Now if you're making juice at home, most people will only be making much smaller bottles than this. The starter kit you can get from them comes with 5 of these lovely little unicorn bottles with the tips and the caps, of course, already in there, ready to assemble. Trevor and I vape between the two of us a lot. And we have one flavor, of course, one recipe that we absolutely love. And that's what we're making today in a rather large batch. I've got the VG already in this rather large bottle. Don't worry, it won't be really full. It'll only be a little better than half full when I'm done here. But I've got the VG already in here because, frankly, putting 231 milliliters in this bottle with a 10 ml syringe takes a while. We didn't want to bore you to death. Now, Vape City, when you buy the starter kit, they send you a 10 milliliter syringe and a 1 milliliter syringe for more precise measurements. Normally, this is what I would recommend using for measuring all your ingredients in terms of flavorings, nicotine, things like that. And of course, I would also recommend picking up some more 1 milliliter syringes, 5s and 10s from other sources, or from Vape City or from your local vape shop if you want to. Just because if you're making a lot of different recipes, you're going to need more than this. But it is great for starting off. Now, like I said, that's if you're making a regular size batch. We're making a much larger batch that we're going to then divide into the 30 milliliter bottles after the video with this. This will actually fill 10 30 milliliter bottles once I'm done. And what it is Fruit Loops. And I decided on the exact number 300 milliliters because, quite simply, I could take this lovely bottle of Fruit Loops flavoring that was just delivered with this amount. And with the recipe that we use, I will literally be just taking that bottle and doing this. Because 30 milliliters is the exact amount. And I can imagine Trevor is internally cringing there behind the camera, watching all that material just vanish right away, but imagine how much we'll enjoy it. Now, of course, if you were making a regular 30 milliliter bottle, you'd be using 3 milliliters, not 30. The next step, of course, is our dairy and sweetener. Now, dairy milk, the one, incidentally, just so you know, the Fruit Loops flavoring we use is by Flavor West. You can certainly try another brand and see if you like it better, of course. The dairy we use is by Flavor Apprentice, and the sweetener we use is by Flavor West.
All available at Vape City.
Yes, and I believe a lot of these are also available at Rock as well, which is a fantastic option. Now, some of you, while I get this ready, because I just realized, you know what, this is going to be easier this way. Some of you might be saying to yourselves, well, gee, guys, I thought you preferred to support local business. Isn't Vape City a website? Yes, it is. But the reason we make a bit of an exception there is because even though it is a website, it is actually local. That's why their delivery option, if you're here in Newfoundland, says their local courier option is available in St. John's and surrounding area. St. John's, Mount Pearl, CBS, those areas. Because they are actually right here in St. John's. We've dealt with them before. We love their service, and their product is fantastic. On the other hand, of course, if you prefer to actually walk into a store and be able to browse, you know, that's another matter entirely. Now, this is the dairy I'm adding. We use equal amounts of each. For this, I'll be using 15 milliliters. You may note the rather odd method I'm using to measure, just because I find it simpler to do it that way and faster. But of course, if you're using a smaller quantity than this, again, you'll want to use your 1 milliliter syringe. Take this drip tip off and just put the syringe down into the bottle and draw it up. Essentially the same as if you were actually drawing it up if you were a nurse getting ready to give someone an injection. But like I said, I'm doing a much larger quantity than you would normally be dealing with, which is why I'm doing it this way. And if you saw that on camera, that was just Trevor reaching in to get his bottle of e-juice that he wants to refill his vape. Just if you're wondering, I don't know if that actually showed up on camera or not, but if a random arm just showed up at the bottom of your screen, that's what that was. So here we go. And this is the third fill of my 5 milliliter syringe. So naturally that's 15 milliliters of dairy. If you were doing 30 milliliter bottle instead of 300 milliliters, that would be 1.5 milliliters, which is another reason why I would recommend using the 1 milliliter syringe. Because measuring half a milliliter on this accurately is not, measuring half a milliliter on this accurately is simply not as easy. So that's the dairy, and onto the sweetener. Get rid of those stupid little seals. I'm not actually going to flick them this time because we find it's hard to find them later to clean them up after the video, so I was going to toss them there on the table or somewhere where I know where they are later when I want to throw them away. And essentially the same thing I did before. And again, just like the other one, is 15 for this huge batch. But if you're doing a single bottle, it would be 1.5 milliliters. And if you're doing a single bottle, just for the other measurements, by the way, if you were, like we are today, going for 3 milligrams of nicotine in your batch, I'm using 9 milliliters. Of course, if you're using a single bottle, that would be 0.9 milliliters. And the e-juice, I'm sure you're seeing where this is going, it's all 1/10 if you were doing the single bottle. I'm using 231 milliliters, whereas if you were using a single bottle, it would be 23.1. And that 0.1, of course, you would definitely want a 1 milliliter syringe to measure that. Because trying to do that with a 5 or 10 milliliter bottle would be a pain in the neck. Or 5 or 10 milliliter syringe, I should say. So, there we go. All set on that. The last ingredient, and the reason why I am wearing the gloves, is the nicotine. The reason I wear gloves for nicotine is because, quite simply, nicotine, if you're not aware, can absorb right through your skin. And this is the concentrate we use. This one we bought from Rock Vapor. You can also get it from Vape City. Is 100 milligrams per milliliter. Now, I don't know if that's high enough to be dangerous on skin contact. I'm not a doctor. I recommend simply being cautious in general. Because like I said, I do know it can be used or be absorbed on skin contact, and if it's extremely potent, it can hurt you. So always better safe than sorry. I'm having a great deal of difficulty for some reason getting the right amount into this without any air bubble. I might have to use my 1 milliliter syringe because it's longer, which might surprise you, but of course it's a lot narrower, and because of that it's longer, it can get further down into the bottle and give me a better reach. Sorry about how long this is going to take, because now I have to fill this 9 times. 1. And of course, this is the point where you really need the accurate measurement, because if this measurement is off, your nicotine concentration is going to be off, which of course is definitely not what you want. And of course, if you can hear a small child in the background outside, that's just my nephew playing. And that is 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. And finally 9. And if you're wondering, by the way, if you are, or not if you're wondering, sorry. One thing I'd like to point out, by the way, these 1 milliliter syringes, you can actually go down to 0.01 in accuracy on these, which is one of the reasons I recommend them. So that's about it. The recipes, by the way, if you want, you can mess around with a program on Windows. I believe it's available on Mac. Well, it's on Windows anyway, called eJuice Me Up. Just search that in Google and download that. It's a fantastic option. You put in your percentages, the concentration of your e-juice, whether it's VG or PG based, things like that. And it's a fantastic little program. That's what we use to get our recipes, and it will tell you within 0.05 of a milliliter what your measurements need to be in terms of what you're adding into the bottle. So that's a great option, a great little program, and as you can tell, other than the fact that it would have taken me forever to measure more than 200 milliliters of e-juice, it's a very simple, quick, and easy thing to do. You just need to make sure your measurements are right. Other than that, that's a batch ready to go into bottles, right there. So, very quick, simple tutorial on how to make e-juice. Of course, there's lots of recipes online, and I recommend you look them up. In the meantime, this is Vaper Shawn, signing off.